My name is Israel Rivera. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6:34 on April 24th, 2024. With me, I have Councilor David Bartley, Councilor Meg McGrath-Smith, and Councilor Jenny Rivera. In chambers, we have Councilor Carmen Ocasio as well. Online, we have Councilor Linda Vacan. I'll entertain a motion to take up. Well, I think first let me do the motion to take a roll call vote that for the purpose of this meeting we would be applicable to all motions to remove an item from the table, place items on the table, package items, open or close a public hearing, or suspend the rules unless there is an objection.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Entertaining. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Entertain a motion to take up item 1.
Motion to remove item 1 from the table, open the public hearing.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item 1 is a public hearing for a zone change application from IG to DR from Holyoke Housing Authority, who is present with us at the moment at 662, 666, 674, 680, 702, and 710 Southeast Street to build rental and home ownership units. For the sake of the public hearing, I would like to, entertain anyone from the public that is present that would like to speak up. The microphone is there, and anyone that's online, feel free to raise your hand. You guys can too as well. I have no issues against that. But
Can we share screen? We brought just a very short, brief.
Yeah, however you do it.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So honestly, this will be quick. Matthew Mainville, Executive Director of the Holyoke Housing Authority, live at 16 Lexington Avenue in Holyoke. Looking to get a zone change down in South Holyoke as part of our South Holyoke Homes project. As you can see here, this is a 3-phase project. The first phase is complete and fully occupied. We have 12 lucky folks living there. And so as part of the city's redevelopment plan, a parcel of property was identified for housing that is currently zoned industrial. And so you'll see the map here. The parcel that we're hoping to have changed to downtown residential is highlighted in red. Just as a way of background, we've been in front of the Holyoke Redevelopment Authority at this point, have their support. We went to the planning department last evening, have their support. As you can see, this particular parcel backs up on downtown residential already, simply across the alleyway. They have kind of exactly what we're proposing for that particular piece of property. So this kind of is the chart that the planning department determines. The reason we need this particular variance is that we're hoping to do home ownership on this particular parcel. And so we're a combination of rental and home ownership. The rental, strangely enough, does not need a zone change, but a duplex home ownership style does. And so that's kind of why we're in front of you. Next slide, please. And so this is kind of our 3-phase project. We superimpose. That's not to scale. The 12 units. We are in the process and should be under construction for those home ownership units called out in phase 2. We have engaged a contractor. We have a modular construction manufacturer under contract, and really are just finalizing some. Actually, we were in front of the planning board last night to get some variances, and so that will be happening very shortly. We at this point have started environmental work on the phase 3 parcel. We should be hopefully getting transfer of the property to us so that we can really begin on-site excavation and those types of things. So we hope to have a funding application completed sometime this summer, this fall. And on this particular parcel, it's yet to be determined the total account, but we hope to have home ownership and rental both on that site there. And so again, if you can kind of see the grayed out part behind the parcel, you'll see there's already home ownership and rental there. And so it would just be kind of in the context of the neighborhood. This was supported through our community efforts as well.
So the zone change is the phase 3 over here, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And all the mass works work that was completed had anticipated some level of housing on there, so it has water stubs and electrical and all that kind of stuff. So just kind of continuing the plan, just hoping to get this box checked and move along with the process.
Any questions from any counselors that are here?
I just have one quick point of order.
Councilor
Just through the chair to Linda. Linda, do we need to hear from the planning board prior to our vote?
So we have often held these hearings jointly. I'm not sure what has happened with this zone change request with the planning board at this point, but we will need to wait for their recommendation.
So thank you, Mr. Chair. So thank you, Linda. So just through the chair to Matt. Matt, what's our timeline on this? You said the fall?
Funding application. So at this point, we haven't really been able to start real on-site investigation because we don't have any kind of access to the property. And so we're hoping to have a funding application, finish up design. We've started some design work, finish up design, and have a funding application in hopefully this fall, summer, this fall. And so just as an FYI, the planning department had a vote last night to approve the zone change.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, that's I figured that, but we usually get a written confirmation from them. But I asked you about the timetable because it doesn't sound like this is, so if we just delayed this for a month at the most.
Not a problem.
Yeah, and once we're done, once I'm done, I'll let everybody speak. I'll move to close the public hearing, and then we can take this up at the next meeting, wherever the chairman schedules it. But I'm,
Thank you.
for my part,
I see Jeffrey's hand up.
I was going to recognize that. I was just letting Councilor Bartley finish his
yeah,
thought.
I'm almost done. 30 seconds. So I'm in full support of this. The zone change makes sense. I don't see anyone here that was noticed in the gallery or online. So it's Holyoke Housing Authority, so I don't see this being controversial, and I think it's going to be a positive thing for the city. And one last thing, I hope we all saw in the email box today from Jane relative to 736 Dwight, and that is a private developer that purchased a vacant lot proximate to the post office, and they're going to put in 6 townhouses, I think, and they wanted to have structure for persons of low income. So, I mean, and then you couple that, Mr. Chair, what we heard the other night. Remember with the John Obbins building? So those are maybe 80 something more units. So this is good. Thank you.
Thank you. So yeah, I think the plan for me too. I got you, Carmen. Jeff, real quick, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I was just going to mention, I'm not sure if you saw the sheet in front of you there, but there's some updates on several items related to the planning board that came out today. And I can confirm what Mr. Mainville said. I reached out to Brianna, the clerk over at OPED, and she confirmed that they approved it last night and are just working on sending over the signed recommendation letter.
All right, and thank you for that, Jeff, because I just see it now. For me, ideally, I think the plan was just to have the public hearing for now, and then for the next meeting, we could do the vote on it, just in general. So if that's okay with you guys, that works across the board.
I agree with
All right.
Mr. Bartley.
Any other? Carmen, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Or Councilor Ocasio, I'm sorry.
Hi, I just wanted to say that I'm so happy that I was part of this project. I mean, did the food work, did the interviews and all that, and they won't have no problem not having my vote because I'm so excited to even see this coming to life, you know.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, we appreciated your help with the outreach and assisting in the community meeting. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Councilor Bacon. Councilor Bacon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to speak in support of this, and I think it's great to see a project coming out in collaboration with the redevelopment authority that we had developed now quite a few years ago. So it's good to see some of the plan being implemented. Thank you.
Thank you. So on the motion,
Well, I'll motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 And then motion,
Well, motion
To table?
Table this for now. Table till we can get the letter from the planning board.
do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Roll call vote. Counselor Bacon,
Yes.
Counselor McGrath Smith,
Yes.
Counselor Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Counselor Bartley,
Yes.
Counselor Israel Rivera, yes.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Want to turn this off?
Yes.
Or if you want to start singing, you can. Yeah. So it's open. It's open mic night tonight. I'll make a motion, take number 2 off the table and open the public hearing, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item 2 is followed by Meg McGrath Smith. And section 8.1.9 be amended to include the following language after the last sentence. Requirement to submit new technical data if the town acquires data that changes the base flood elevation and FEMA map. Special flood hazard areas. The town will, within 6 months, notify FEMA of those changes by submitting the technical or scientific data that supports the changes. Notification shall be submitted to NFIP State Coordinator, Massachusetts Department of Conservation and Recreation, NFIP Program Specialist, Federal Emergency Management Agency, Regions 1. It's a public hearing, so before I pass it to you, Meg, real quick, anyone that's in the public can feel free to raise their hand online or in person, step to the mic and speak up. And I don't actually see anybody right now. I'll give it another minute just in case online. And then Counselor McGrath Smith.
Sure. So this came to us through the city solicitor's office. The city was contacted by the state to do this required update to our flood ordinance. And the language itself was the language that was developed initially from the state as their recommendation. I think that Councilor Bartley has an amendment he would like to make. I also want to name that for the record, based on my conversation with the city solicitor, city and town are interchangeable in terms of their legal ramifications. But in this case, I do think that it makes sense to change from town to city as we move forward here. And I think Councilor Bartley has some other suggestions for what we should do to improve from the state's suggestion.
Counselor Bartley.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not going to read all this right now because your head will explode. But I did a fair amount of research on it. I saw what the ordinance is. I'm pretty clear on what the intent is, and what I'd like to do. So I've got a verbiage for a potential amendment. I've got the certain contact information for the Commonwealth's the departments that are relevant, and for the federal government, which is FEMA, and there's FEMA Region 1, which is based in Boston. And then the last part is because, and this will be a little weird, but I'll run it by Attorney Bissonette, but because this is a fluid type of a contact situation, instead of having it re-advertised every time for a public hearing, which we have to do when we have a public hearing, I put some draft language in my potential amendment that the Conservation Commissioner can go ahead and make amendments to this without a public hearing, so long as the Conservation Commissioner, his or her right, would just give notice to the mayor and to the city council 90 days in advance. So what's happening here is that there's contact names, but of course, the contact names aren't going to be the same 10 years from now. They're all going to change. So it would be nice if the Conservation Commissioner had the power just to, once they get the notice, to just make the amendment, but certainly to pass it through the mayor and the city council. So with that, what I'd like to do is, I'm hopeful we can, A, close a public hearing, and B, table this for draft language from the law department. What I'll do is I'll I'll email the Ward 7 counselor, and well, I'll email everybody and the law department with some of the research I did, and we can get a draft for whenever the law department has a moment.
And I will, through the chair to Council Bartley, I'll note that the state did specify that because of that fluid situation that you mentioned, that we should be careful not to make it too specific around naming names, around naming addresses. Those things are fluid. So that was their suggestion.
Oh, okay, so, well, again, this is just, if I may? Yeah, so this, to the chair, yeah, whatever it is, yeah, because you got direct contact with them, I don't, but I just laid out everything but the kitchen sink in here. And so, once you review it, and it won't take more than 3 minutes to review it, but once you do that, then chop out what you feel should be chopped out and save what you want to save, and we'll just put in draft legal language. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
So I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 And I'll make a motion to table this for the law department to get us legal language, whenever you work with them to do that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Roll call vote, real quick. Counselor Bartley?
Yes.
Counselor Jenny Rivera?
Yes.
Counselor Linda Vacan?
Yes.
And Counselor Meg McGrath Smith?
Yes.
Counselor Israel Rivera? Yes. I'm just going to count myself.
Good job. All right, I'll make a motion, sir, to remove agenda item 3 from the table and open the public hearing.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Agenda item 3 was filed by former Councilor Maldonado Velez. Zoning ordinance change proposal to allow cannabis business beyond the IG zone and allow priority for social equity applicants on those negatively impacted by war on drugs. Because it's a public hearing still, this was continued from 2/28. I'll open it up to anyone that is either online or in person to be able to come up and speak in favor or against. I see no one online and I see no one in person. So I think, what I will say is I had communication with the planning board. They haven't had the time to actually take this up and have a conversation around this. So they would like for it to be tabled and so that they can have a conversation around it too as well. So I would request that the public hearing be closed for now, right? And then, closed now and today, and then this item be tabled until we get a recommendation from the planning board or work in collaboration with the planning board. Is there any other comments before we move on? So I guess motion to close the public hearing? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
What do we vote on? Sorry.
Motioning to close the public hearing right now for the cannabis.
Okay, sorry. Yes.
Okay, yes.
I had to take that call.
No worries, you gotta do your thing. And then motion to table this order until the planning board is able to advise or to say, because they haven't been able to necessarily take it up because they're tabling it.
Second.
I'll make that motion or second, whatever.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Roll call vote. Counselor Linda Vacan,
Yes.
Counselor Dave Bartley,
Yes.
Counselor Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Counselor Meg McGrath Smith,
Yes.
and Counselor Israel Rivera. That's pretty much what I had on the agenda for now because there's a lot of things that still need language. There's a lot of things that are still in the queue, I guess. I have a letter from the planning board around a couple other items. I don't want to more or less talk about them because they're not on the agenda, but there's somewhat updates still letting us know that they're still waiting on some stuff. So some of the things that are in the jacket here or the table that we have laid on the table, a lot of them are either in waiting for legal language, waiting for recommendations from the planning board, or there is some sort of nuance that needs to be figured out. So this is what I had so far. For the next meeting, hopefully some of this stuff will be able to be taken up. Some of the legal languages will be able to come forward, as well as some of the recommendations from the planning board. But until then, this is what I have.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 You guys have a good night.
Okay, thanks. You too.
Good night.